Hello everybody and welcome this evening to yet another wonderful evening of multi-class racing. Tonight though we have 3 classes, not 2 that we had yesterday. Tonight we have the P2s, the GT2s and the GT3s all heading out onto the track. And looking at our sign-up list, we have 10 prototypes going out onto the field. We will have 5 GT2s and 11 GT3s, which means you should have 29 people in the server by the end. As we're currently looking at Toby Kedera, he currently sits in provisional pole position ahead of George Ortner, who sits in second, and Florian Weiser in third. Leading your GTs at the moment is Mark Keeble, Steve Kenwood in second, and Daniel Chapp in third. And that, I believe, all of those are in your GT2 field. Christian Moreau, 4th of the GTs, but leader in the GT3 field. He sits 12th overall, followed by Kamil Gwazinski and Peter Lee in 3rd position in class. We're currently looking at Ortner here as he's coming up to the final corner through Virage du Point there and coming up to the line. He's currently running fastest in the first 2 sectors and he puts it onto pole position. Already going faster than Toby Kedera. So we have a 15-minute qualifying session here for you now. And currently we've had about 6 minutes worth of this session. We then have a 1-hour session in front of us, and that'll be with a mandatory stop as well. So we are here at Paul Ricard. We're running the 1A circuit, which in retrospect to what people normally call their circuit layouts, this is really the Grand Prix layout for Paul Ricard. So we're watching Vangelos Paginos here, currently in 5th position overall and in class. He's running through in the Chevrolet, currently on his fastest in both the first and second sector. Not the fastest, but a personal best. He's about 6/10 off of Sven Dushman, and that'll be for 4th position. Will he be able to get up into that position? He won't. Looking at it though, it is an improvement. He improved by about 4/10 of a second on that lap. We are going to, as Florian Weiser is just coming through here, the final sector. Hopefully we can find someone coming up to the line. Michael Wyatt, not one of the drivers coming up to the line. In fact, he is just coming out of sector number 1. He's now going through St. Bouim here. Michael Wyatt currently in 6th position. He is also in the Daytona prototype car, that Chevrolet powered car, heading along Ligne Droit du Mistral on the very long straights here. This is going to be crucial come the race, getting all the slipstream you possibly can as you run along. Moving fully to the left as far as Wyatt can, then tucks it in through Signes. Goes a bit too far over the apex and gets chucked out the other side. Now these next 2 corners, very difficult indeed. Double apex of double Droit du Bizet there. And now coming through Bendor, and again it's another quite a tight, it tightens up near the exit of the corner, which is what makes it difficult. And come to race, it's going to be very confusing whilst you're trying to battle with someone, and then the corner gets much tighter at the end. Through Latour here, coming up to the final corner of Virage du Point. One of the tightest corners on the circuit. The slowest corner on the circuit, I believe. Coming across the line, it was a fastest middle sector, not the fastest first sector, but a personal best. No improvement in position overall. He sits about half a second off of Paginos after that lap. Let's go see where Mark Keeble is. Mark Keeble currently coming around into the final sector. We're right on board at the end of this lap as he goes on to a new lap. This is your GT2 pole sitter at the moment. You can see on the left hand side the differences between your prototypes and your GT class. Your GT cars are quite large, but the difference between your GT2s, GT3s, not so much. Daniel Trapp in 11th is in a GT2. Christian Moreau in 12th is in a GT3 car. So that immediately shows how close your two fields are. Mark Keeble, we're going to go right on board then, on board the Corvettes as he comes across the line here. Not an improvement on that lap, a really slow lap actually by the look of it. No, it's only about a 10th off of his previous best. Let's see what he can do in this first sector though. Getting it right across the apex as much as he can, switches it across. Again, pushing it all the way over the apex. Now, it's very easy to get lost at Paul Ricard. There's many different layouts. And looking at a track map that's placed in front of me, I'm already confused. Coming up towards St. Bouim, though. Less than 5 minutes going on the session. Keeble seems a little bit weak through the end of this sector. But heading up towards the very, very long straight. Not a personal improvement. Remember, that gap will be the gap from Toby Ketterer in the P2 car. That's why we can see such a big gap already being displayed. Now, that is a rather fast section, and we know that the P2s really dominate in the corners compared to the GT cars. The GT cars are of similar pace to the P2s. They aren't identical, but they are of similar pace, and if they had slipstream, I think they could probably get an overtake in there. Mark Ebel, though, coming up towards the final sector now, and very difficult corner, or double droit to Dubrazet here, the double apexed corner, the very, very long right-hander. And now through the left-hander, through Bendor. Keeps it nice and clean. It's still not an improvement, however, on his current personal best. So he's going to have to hope for something better a little bit later on. Well, I say later on. We've only got about 3.5 minutes going. Mark Ebel, though, currently leading our GT2 category. So he has only got about 3/10 to defend over this driver right here, Steve Kenwood. Kenwood in second in your GT2 field, but it doesn't look like he's improving either. So Keeble looks like he will get your pole position in class. Toby Ketterer currently leading your P2 pole position. Christian Moreau leading your GT3 pole position. As we're getting into the final few minutes here, I don't think we're going to get many more improvements. So I'm just going to talk you through the results that stand at the moment. Toby Ketterer leads in pole only just by 0.04 of a second ahead of George Ortner. Florian Weiser sits in third position, a little further down, but still within 0.2 of your pole sitter. Sven Deutschmann sits in fourth, still within a second of your pole sitter. And just outside that second mark was Michael Wyatt in fifth. Vangelis Paginos in sixth position in class, with Paul Hurlow and Martin Fiala rounding out your P2 field. That is your first class of the evening. Now your second class. Now this one is where I have a little bit of difficulty distinguishing the differences in classes here. So Mark Keeble is the leader of your GT2 field. Steve Kenwood also your GT2 driver, and Daniel Trapp third in the GT2 field. Looking through here, I'm just trying to figure out who else is in your GT2 field. That'll be Nick Gregory, 20th position overall in your Cadillac. He will be in the GT2 field. And then we do have one more driver we currently trying to look through. We have two Corvettes, a BMW, and we are missing one more BMW. So trying to figure out who that final BMW is. Is it Kamil Gwydzinski? Oh, I'm not too sure now. But anyway, working through your SD radar, the rest of them are GT3. So that's Christian Moreau, pole position in your GT3 field. Peter Lee in second. And then I believe Kamil Gwydzinski is GT3 as well. Then Tony Versity, Jazz Forsberg, Ignacio Hortel, Malachi Bacchus, not doing as well as what we've seen in previous races from him. Carol Demusman in 19th overall. Then Nick Gregory, obviously your GT2 driver, slotted in the midst of the GT3 cars. Paul Schaefer then in your GT3 car, along with Franco Picalgi and Daniel Nito at the rear of your field. We are about 30 seconds away from this session being over, but drivers are still out on the circuit. Good evening, everyone who is watching today at the moment. I hope you are all enjoying at the moment for the stream, because we are about to get going into our hour-long race. Yes, we have 1 hour of racing in front of us, and we are going to be going around the Paul Ricard circuit, the 1A layout, or in terms of what every other circuit in the world does, and call it the Grand Prix layout, because that's the smarter idea. But anyway, we'll go with it's the 1A layout, because, you know, why not? So we are here, Paul Ricard, and we have got 3 different classes heading out tonight. We've got the P2s, we've got the GT2s, and we've got the GT3s. We're now across into the countdown period, where drivers will start to get out on track. We will be able to see that grid once Toby Ketterer gets on track. He's there now, and I say we get to see the grid. We don't, because of the way that this circuit is laid out. Obviously, onto that main straight, it's a massive climb over the hill. And unfortunately for us, the grid is behind the hill, so we see absolutely nothing from the start. Drivers still getting out onto the field, and we'll be able to start hopefully having a better look at the grid once the session is about to go green. 20 seconds till everyone has to be on the grid, and the moment everyone is there, we'll go green anyway, as we are about 10 seconds away from going onto the grid for the start of an hour-long race. Thank you, Andre Bonaparte, for subscribing, and welcome to racedepartment.com. We are about to get going. I'm trying to find if we can see a better camera for this start, but we cannot. They are all hidden behind the hill, and we are green. We are away. Who's going to come over that hill first? It definitely is going to be Ortner who's got the better start. Jumped Ketterer at the beginning of that race. Near the rear, the GT is already getting into a little bit of a battle. But Dushman is battling with Weiser here, who's trying to get past down below in your GT field. Mark Keeble has held on to your GT2 lead. Daniel Trapp in second, as we're going almost 3 wide here into the bottom end of your circuit, coming up towards St. Boehm, and it looks like they've started to really settle in. Peter Lee, side by side. There's a spin. Oh, that's the 2 Corvettes. Your GT2s have spun around. That's both of your GT2 Corvettes, Mark Keeble and Daniel Trapp, have gone around near the rear. It looks like Keeble hasn't lost too much time with that. Steve Kenwood now leads your GT2 field. Nick Gregory into the 10th position, so he was able to pull up quite a lot at the start there. Peter Lee leads your GT3 field, so a great start for him. Daniel Nito is looking to get up past Mark Keeble though. Nito in the GT3s, Keeble in the GT2s. And it looks like everyone's sort of settling down into that order. Jazz Forsberg looking for some get up the inside, and there's contact with Nito, and he's been thrown off the circuit. There's also a little bit of contact there. I think that was with Malachi Bacchus, or is it just behind? 2 Corvettes are running side by side. Daniel Trapp on the outside of Pigali here. Looks like he's going to be able to hold that. Coming up to your line now is George Ortner, sorry. And we've got Toby Ketterer in second position at the end of your opening laps. Sven Deutschmann into third in the start of this race. Paul Schaefer is being overtaken by Hortel. Coming up to the final corner now. Hortel's going to be trying his hardest to hold the outside line. The 2 BMWs run side by side on the exit of Virage du Point. And it looks like they have settled in now with Schaefer ahead. Is for now. Schaefer ahead. Grudziński though is looking up the inside and around Daniel Nito. Will he be able to do it in this opening sector? They're still side by side. Nito breaks later. It's meant that Gudzinski is now under attack from Malachi Bacchus, but Bacchus gets under attack there from Daniel Trapp in your GT2 field. So Daniel Trapp looking to get his GT through up the order. He'll be able to get past Gudzinski as well. He is now just cutting through this course. As there's a little bit of contact, Malachi Bacchus is around contact. So that was contact with Paul Schaefer. Schaefer just not realising that Bacchus was there, and he turned in just a little bit too much. Up front though, in your prototypes, Kedua looking for first position, Weiser looking for third, and Parginos looking for fifth. In fact, he's going to be able to do it. He's got the inside line on Michael Wyatt, and he's been able to move up the position. Wyatt might be looking to get back through here. They're in the Daytona prototype cars. That's definitely the more popular choice by the look of it. Three of our 8 drivers have chosen that. So almost half the field. Daniel Nito down a position as Kamil Gudzinski has been able to make it around the outside. Just behind, we're also running side by side, as it looks like Paul Schaefer has some sort of issue. Paul Schaefer going really slowly there. Looks like he's been able to get back up to speed now, as Michael Wyatt looks to get back past Parginos here. And now we're going through sector number 1, the prototypes. Still rather close together. The top 6 in your prototype field are separated by, what is that, 6 seconds. 6 seconds separate your top 6. 2 seconds separate your top 4. That's how close it is in your prototype field. But Begagali just loses up another position here. Peter Lee gets through. Looking at the order at the moment, Steve Kenwood is leading your GT2 field. He's the only GT2 ahead of the GT3 field at the moment. Christian Moreau leads your GT3 category. 10th position overall, and only 1 position behind your GT2 leader. Remember, there are only 4 GT2 drivers taking part in today's event, and they're mixed around in your GT2 field. Malachi Bacchus out of the event very early on, following that contact on the exit of St. Boehm heading up to Liège. I will try to do as much French accent as I possibly can, as Demersman is running next to Jazz Forsberg here. They're lining along Ligne Detroit, Mistral there. And again, I did do French a number of years ago, but nothing's in my head to tell me how to do the accents, as it looks like Demersman's not going to be able to hold it on Forsberg. And the Frenchman goes past and up into 17th position, which I believe is 6th in class, as he's almost under attack from the Nissan Tony Versity just behind as well. But not quite at the moment. Looking at your race leaders, your P2 field, sorry, they have started to separate just that little bit as Daniel Nito gets up the inside of Ignatius Hortal and can't do it. Hortal up to position 221st. Nito's been falling down the order like a stone here, along with Franco Begale. Talking about Franco Begale, he has got Jazz Forsberg all over the rear. We saw Forsberg get past Demersman rather recently. Will he be able to, will Forsberg be able to get past Begale as well? But just behind Forsberg though, we have got Demersman and Tony Versity. So 4 cars, really close proximities here, starting yet another racing lap. So go around, we're about 6.5 minutes into the event. And currently, Ortner is leading your P2 field and leading overall ahead of Toby Kedera, who sits in 2nd. But they're getting really close through this final set, and I think if Kedera can stay at that close proximity, there could be an overtake rather soon. Now, Ortner did qualify in 2nd, and Kedera did qualify on pole position, but we couldn't actually see the start because of the way that the elevation changes are at this beginning part of the circuit here. But we saw Ortner come over the crest ahead of Kedera, so we got a much better launch. This 4-way battle then that is going on, P16, Jazz Forsberg has been able to make his way past Begale. Tony Versity has been able to get past both Begale and Demersman. Demersman at the rear of this 4-way tie at the moment, As just up ahead there, Forsberg running slightly wide, and that could be an invitation for Versity and the Nissan to go through. It's not quite at the moment. Yes, it is, because he's gone for the inside, but I was talking about that corner during practice. Through Bendor. It gets tighter at the exit as Bengali goes around. Bengali gets, I don't know if there was contact, but he goes around on the exit of Bendor. That's not what you want. Heading up through Latour and now into the Virage to Point, the final corner here. As we come up towards the line, we are 8 minutes into the race, and Ortner is doing an amazing job leading your P2 field. Steve Kenwood, he's the only GT2 to get away from the rest of the field here, the rest of the GT3 category. Daniel Trapp is really starting to make his mark to get back up towards Steve Kenwood. He's about half a second behind Mark Keeble, who's second in your GT3 field. Daniel Trapp second in your GT2 field. However, issues at the start line. There's more issues for Carol Demasman there. We've just seen him a big hit into the barriers who were watching Daniel Trapp coming along the straight. Trapp now in slipstream of Mark Keeble. Trapp in the faster and the older, pretty much the bigger man of the two Corvettes. He's going to get up the inside of Mark Keeble. Looks like that's going to be a nice easy move, but no, because Keeble is going to try his hardest to hold it on the outside. The two same looking cars. 1 minute, no. Mark Keeble is also GT2. These are battling for P2 in the GT2 field. Yes, because Christian Moreau is the only GT3 to be ahead of your GT2 category. Because at the moment, 9th position, Steve Kenwood, he's a GT2. Christian Moreau is a GT3. Mark Keeble, GT2. Daniel Trapp, GT2. Nick Gregory, GT2. And then from Peter Lee down, it's GT3. So Peter Lee is second in our GT2 category. That completely went off the top of my head. These two drivers, they are in the same category. Daniel Trapp looking to get up the inside of Mark Keeble there, but couldn't quite do it. Heading up towards the line. Ortner is behind Toby Ketterer. Whilst we were watching that there, Ortner has been overtaken by Ketterer, but here he comes. He's going to go back up the inside, back into the race lead here. He's going to go up the inside, and he's going to easily be able to hold that over Toby Ketterer. As we sit on board at the moment with George Ortner in your lead of your race at the moment. He's only about half a second ahead of Toby Ketterer. As Ketterer looks to get through, can't quite do it at the moment. We've got 49 minutes and 40 seconds to go. We've only been racing for 11 minutes. We've still got a pit stop to come. And I can't stress this enough with how much pit stops change everything. Not only have we seen that in our previous RaceRoom events, we've seen that in a set of course or multi-class events where drivers have lost almost 30 seconds. A while ago also, we saw a driver lose a whole lap in the pit stops in a multi-class event during the mandatory pit stop time. So it's going to be interesting to see what they can do. Mark Keeble now down behind Daniel Trapp, and it looks like it's going to stay that way. No, it's not, because Keeble is going to go up the inside. This is coming up through Double Deutsch de Berserk, and Daniel Trapp is off the circuit. He's going to try his hardest to hold it, and he's off again. He's going to go for the inside line. He's staying as attacking as possible. Can't quite do it, but it looks like for now Mark Keeble is going to stay ahead. As we now go through, it looks like this is definitely one of our closest battles. Now, I did blank when Ortner lost the lead before. I'm going to try and keep as much focus on your two race leaders gap as much as I possibly can, whilst trying to look at other people as well. Peter Lee is doing really well in his GT3 car. He's behind Nick Gregory in the Cadillac. Gregory is 4th and in last position of your GT2 field. But he's not doing too badly, actually. He's doing really well. I believe he started this race in 20th. And he got immediately up with the rest of the GT2s on your opening lap. And I believe in the opening sector as well, following the incident and the spins by our two Corvettes of Keeble and Trapp. I think he was able to get into 2nd position immediately in the class, but also I think 3rd out of all the GT cars that were running around. At the moment, Peter Lee is doing really well to be 2nd in his class, but he has got Kamil Gudzinski 3rd in class just behind. as we now go through onto the main straight, and that is going to be as defensive as possible from Gregory, trying to keep Peter Lee away from overtaking, but it doesn't work, and now Peter Lee is through. He still remains second in class, but he's fifth overall in all the GTs. And here comes Gwiazinski. Will Gwiazinski now be able to get past Gregory? Gregory going left and right quite a lot over that straight. And that may be looked at as maybe changing his racing line to defend as he goes around. There may have been a slight tap. He's able to hold it. It was a half spin. He's got back onto the circuit, but he's now lost the position to Gwiazinski, who's now up ahead. Tony Versity is looking to gain into 16th position, and I'm just trying to do quick maths here, and that's 4th in class, and that would be past Jazz Forsberg. We were looking at that earlier on at the very start of this race. There was that four-way battle, but now it's sort of evened itself out a bit and only got to these two because Bengali made the first mistake. That was through here, that was through Bendor, and then Carol Dimas when we saw spin heading up towards St. Boehm, and we saw him spin when we were looking at Daniel Trapp. So as we continue around at the moment, it looks like the GT2s are catching up to Christian Moreau to get into second and third out of all the GT cars. Out in the lead of the race, though, Toby Kedderer is losing time in second position. But this is a battle between Florian Weiser and Michael Wyatt. It's strange to see Florian Weiser actually so far down, because during practice, he was one of our fastest drivers. But not so much. He's not really replicating that in the race. He's behind Michael Wyatt there. That's 5th position he's looking for. Currently about half a second down. You can see also just up the road, Vangelis Paginas and Sven Deutschmann. No, sorry, that is not Vangelis. That is Daniel Nito. That is Daniel Nito in your GT car. Just up ahead is Vangelis Paginas. Weiser runs a lot wider to avoid any contact with Nito, who stays right out of the way and doing really well indeed at holding that, as we now once again go back to have a little bit of a look at these GT2s, because now Mark Keeble has been able to make his way past Christian Moreau, and here comes Daniel Trapp up the inside, and that is through Bendor that he's been able to make the move through. Now coming through Village, and they are now second and third out of all your GT3 fields. So the top 3 in your GT cars are going to be your GT2 field. Steve Kenwood, Mark Keeble, Daniel Trapp. Nick Gregory has lost out those couple of positions, remember, though, and now he is down. And looking at the left-hand side, the pit window has opened and Daniel Trapp is in. The moment the pit window opened, and that happened about 20 seconds ago, Daniel Trapp has decided he is coming into the pit lane. It's a very, very, very long pit lane indeed. And Florian Weiser has gone up the position past Michael Wyatt, because Wyatt off the circuit. Daniel Trapp still in your pit lane though, so he's going to be doing his mandatory stop now, getting out of the way really early. It does mean though his tyres will be a little bit more worn when it comes near the end of the race. It looks like he is the only driver to pit on this racing lap. However, he comes out just in front of Michael Wyatt there, and that's the GT driver of Franco Begali. So it looks like he hasn't actually lost too much time. 18th position overall. He's last in class. That's because he is the only driver currently to have pitted in the race today. Florian Weiser has now decided to come into the pit lane as well. He was in 5th in the P2 class. He's now into your pit lane and down to the rear of your field as he now comes out. You'll stay ahead of all the GT cars, however. It's going to be interesting to see when everyone else pits, because when it comes to pit stops, like I always say, it's going to make things change a lot. As we are still heading around, Daniel Trapp will be looking to gain up a few positions. He's just done his pit stop, so he will be on heavier fuel than most of our other drivers. However, he will be on much fresher tyres. That was Toby Kedderer going through. Toby has lost a lot of time to Ortner here. Did he have a spin somewhere, or maybe get held up by back markers because he is over 6 seconds behind our race leader now. So everyone's flying past our cameras into Bendor. As we are currently watching Daniel Chap. Has he got a prototype just ahead? That was Hortal moving out of the way for your prototype. There's contact. Daniel Chap has clipped Hortal. And now everyone just trying to avoid. Daniel Chap is facing backwards. Unfortunately, Michael Wyatt couldn't quite avoid him. Chap now facing the correct way. He gets back onto the circuit. Leaves enough room for Paul Schaefer to get through, but he's immediately back up the position there. Kamil Gudzinski is looking to gain past and easily past Peter Lee. Some sort of issue for Lee there, maybe. I was mistaken before. Kamil Gudzinski is GT2. He is in a GT2 car because looking at my images I've got here, it's identical to Steve Kenwood's car. So, Peter Lee still in second in class, and Kamil Gudzinski has actually been leading Nick Gregory. So there are 5 GT2 cars racing today, and that looks like Paul Hurlow out of the race. It is, but he suddenly jumped all the way to the back. That could be a disqualification there for Paul Hurlow. Very possibly could be a disqualification. It's not what you want. Heading through now. So, heading up towards, this is through Village. This is our race leader. 40 minutes remain. We're 20 minutes in. Only Daniel Trapp has completed the mandatory pit stop. We saw Florian Weiser come in, but it has not clipped on a green P, which means that he has not completed what he needs to do in the pit stop, which means he is going to be in 7th position. He is at the rear of your prototype field because he has not done what you need to do in that pit lane. And now looking through, at the moment it's going to be interesting to see where some of our GT field comes out, because I believe we've just seen one of our drivers disappear. No, they haven't. It's just because obviously one of our PTs have gone down, so my entire list is now just shifted around. Right, Steve Kenwood still leading your GT2 field. He's doing that nice and comfortably, 10 seconds ahead of second position in your GT2s, Mark Keeble. Christian Moreau leading your GT3 category at the moment. Daniel Chat running behind Carol Diemersman, looking to gain up to P number 17. Running really over the apex there. He's got the slipstream. He's going to be able to do it along Ligno and Detroit du Mistral here. Running side by side, and up he goes. Up to position. Nice and easily indeed. Peter Lee is looking to catch up to Gudzinski. Remember, I've just recently realised that Peter Lee and Gudzinski are in 2 different classes, because Gudzinski is in your GT2 field, Lee in your GT3 field. Now coming up through the final corner through Virage de Point. And it looks like they are both going to be staying out. Now I'm not expecting most people to come in until about 30 minutes. Daniel Trapp up the inside of Franco Begali there. And he is now up to P16. And like I said, I'm not expecting most people to come into your pit until 30 minutes gone and 30 minutes to go. And that's because that will be the pure halfway point. People will know what their car will feel like at the end of the race. They'll know exactly how much fuel they have. They'll know how loose their rear end will be. They'll know what their tyre wear is going to be. And it will just feel a little bit more safer to run with what you know. Daniel Trapp, that really early pit stop, will it come back to haunt him? Him being in traffic has already hurt his race and his chances of getting onto the lead of your GT2 field, purely because he had that contact on his, I think his second lap in his stint. And then not only to do with that, when you come to the end of the stint, he's going to have the worst tyres come the end of the race. He's going to have really bad tyres when the rest of the field comes into the pit. So that's going to be interesting in itself. Still looking at the times here. Peter Lee is going to go up the inside of Grodzinski. Now, that was because Grodzinski made a mistake. There was about 2 tenths between them heading up to that corner. But through the corner, it looks like Grodzinski made some sort of mistake. Peter Lee staying right out of the way for Sven Deutschmann. He's third in class, trying to catch Toby Kederer. Kederer is losing even more time to Ortner, who just is having a real nice time out in the race lead. And now heading through. This is through Village and heading up to Latour. Grodzinski will be looking to attack back there. Kyle Demasman all over the rear of Franco Pigalli. Now, he's been over the rear since Daniel Champ got past about 1.5 laps ago. Don't think he'll be able to make anything of it. But here comes Grodzinski all over the rear of Peter Lee, heading off the line. There's a little bit of a wobble and I think some contact between the Cadillac and a P2 heading through the final turn. Grodzinski has to remain behind Peter Lee into your first section of corners through the rear. And it looks like he's actually dropped off a little bit of time as well. Maybe hitting the brakes, not wanting to get too close to Lee. Trying to avoid some contact that may have happened. Coming through the St. Guim now and up towards Lela Cole. And Kamil Grodzinski all over the rear. It looks like there's a little bit of a tap there. Coming onto the main straight. And in the slipstream, you can see the time closing. It's getting closer. It's getting closer. The BMW, the GT2 driver, doing better than the Chevrolet or the GT3 car. That is to do as expected. Up the inside he goes. And can he make that move stick? It doesn't look like he can because he's wobbled on the rear. Peter Lee wide. He's had to give up the position because he went off the circuit. He's having to do a slowdown, and that's why he had to hit the brakes, and he has lost about a second to Grodzinski. That definitely was a slowdown penalty there. Daniel Chapp over the rear of Tony Versity. They have got Martin Fiala involved up the inside, so Daniel Chapp cannot go for the overtake past Versity there. Fiala will get past Versity now, and Chapp all over the rear. And he's there, he's up the inside, and he is through. And Versity is just slightly wide. Now remember though, Daniel Chapp, he is looking to get up the order. He's already done his mandatory pit stop. He's also had a few spins here and there. He's in the GT2 car, mixed in with a whole load of GT3s. Looking at your race leaders' gaps, it's remained the same. Michael Wyatt is into your pit lane, but he broke too late. You can see as we looked at him, he was reversing backwards. So he missed his pit box there. But he's now is going to be doing all this refueling. Now remember, we were looking at Florian Weiser. His P button is still red, which means he's not done his mandatory stop. But we did see that he was in the pit lane and he did stop. So that means he's missed something in the pit lane, or his pit stop wasn't long enough. I'm not too sure how the mandatory pit stops work in RaceRoom. I am constantly told, but I do constantly forget. It's not great. I have like a really bad memory, which isn't great when you're supposed to be a commentator. Anyway, continuing on, Kyle Demasman in 18th position is looking to get past Franco Pigalli. And I keep on coming back to this battle because this has been happening now for the past almost 10 minutes, really. It's been happening since Daniel Trapp got through. So that was about maybe 6 or 7 minutes ago. About 3 or 4 laps ago. Maybe even 5 by this point. Demasman still chasing down Pigalli, looking to get through. Now he is behind along the straight, which means he's going to get all the slipstream. But it just seems like the Bentley down on power compared to that Corvette along the straights. As we come through, 33 minutes remain in the race. We're almost at the halfway point, which means we should be seeing most people into the pit lane very shortly. Our GT3 leader, Christian Moreau, has just done his pit stop as he roars the engine, getting away from his stall. Out of the pit lane, will he come ahead of Peter Lee? It doesn't look like he will, or will he? Yes, he will. Christian Moreau is still leading your GT3 field. with the rest of the GT3 still yet to pit. Oh, that is why. I was going to say that gap was closing. Peter Lee, he's missed his box, but he is also into your pit lane. Daniel Trapp here looking to get past Nick Gregory. They are in the same class, so that is an overtake for position. It looks like he'll be able to do it. There's contact. And that was, I don't know what happened there, but that is a big hit for Nick Gregory into the wall. You can see how much damage that's caused to the side of the car there. That's the passenger side of the car, so luckily no danger to the driver. Daniel Trapp, I don't think that was. I think that was just really 2 into 1. Does not go, and unfortunately for Daniel Trapp, oh sorry, fortunately for Daniel Trapp and unfortunately for Nick Gregory, it was Gregory who got the brunt of the incident. Peter Lee still in your pit lane, and this is what I mean. This is where you lose all of the time. He's still in your pit lane. He is now, how far down? That's the engine off. That's Peter Lee's engine off. I can't hear it roar. So, is he only... I'm sure you have to turn your engine off to fill up on fuel. But does that mean that's why he's still in your pit lane? It's because he didn't turn his engine off. It's back on now. And he's away. He's lost a whole lap. He was only about... I believe about maybe 10-15 seconds behind Christian Moreau before that pit stop. Where is he now? He's just coming out of the pit lane. Christian Moreau, he has lost almost a lap in that pit stop. That was the slowest pit stop I think I've seen in such a long time. That is crazy. Florian Wiseau looking to gain up some positions. He's battling with Martin Fayela, but we've still got to see both of them into the pit. As actually, that's just behind, exiting the pit lane, Vangelis Paginos. Now, talking about Florian Wiseau needing to pit. Remember, he's already gone into the pit lane, but it has not ticked, saying that he's done his pit. He will be warned that he needs to go back into the pit lane. He goes up the inside of Martin Fayela there. Looks like Fayela not attacking too much in defending, and he's going to say, yes, you can have fourth. That is fine by me. Nick Gregory into your pit lane now in your Cadillac. Carol Demasman into your pit lane. That was also Franco Begali into your pit lane, but he's stopped. He's completely missed his box. We've seen that from a number of people. He's reversing completely up pit lane. Where is he going? Surely he'll be disqualified for this. Where is he going? He was in the first pit box by the look of it. And he completely missed it. He's just lost about 30 seconds in your pit lane. That is your race leader into the pits. That was Ortner going into the pit lane in your race lead. That means Toby Ketterer has overtaken your leader for now. But he's still got to do his pit stop. Looking through, we've got our GT2 leader yet to do his stop as well, of Steve Kenwood. Yet to see Mark Keeble in as well, who's second in GT2. We're yet to even see Kamil Gwozdzinski in. He is third in GT2. Daniel Trapp, fourth in GT2, however, has already done his stop and very possibly could get into second once all pit stops are said and done. It depends on how long people take in a pit lane. Like we saw before, a very, very slow stop from Peter Lee. Just saying, Franco Begali has been disqualified, by the way. Begali has been disqualified for reversing down pit lane. Peter Lee, though, that's what I was going to say. He was second in class. He was second in his class before he did his pit stop. Such a poor pit stop. He's come out last. He is dead last, 20th out of our 20 drivers that are still running. That is not what you want to see. Kobe Ketterer is behind. Two drivers are running side by side there. That's Carol Demasman losing out to Nick Gregory. Demasman has done his pit stop, so has Gregory. Nice easy pass for Toby Ketterer. Can't get up the inside of Bendor. That's the Cadillac running really wide to allow Ketterer through, though. And now that's going to mean, sorry, I've just clicked on the wrong name. It means that Demasman is now going to be all the way behind Nick Gregory heading up to Le Tour. And again, that's going to be Gregory wide running in his Cadillac. I can't see where he is, but it is the position. Gregory's up the inside through the final corner, through Virage de Point. And it looks like Demasman is going to hold the position for now ahead of Nick Gregory. As we've got Martin Fayela running off of the circuit as Vangelis Paginos. I was trying to say both his first name and last name at the same time there. That didn't work. Got up the inside of Martin Fayela. And now it looks like Mark Keeble is into the pit lane. But he's also gone too far. My word, so many people going too far. But Mark Keeble, second in your GT2 class, has come in. He's coming in, though. That's how quick a pit stop needed to be. He was in there for 5-6 seconds. That was it. Peter Lee was in there for 50-60 seconds. But he comes out remaining in second. And he still remains on track ahead of Christian Moreau. 40 seconds between himself and Steve Kenwood. Now, before the pit stop, that was about 15 seconds. So we know that Keeble broke late, lost a little bit of time. But it's going to be interesting to see where Kenwood comes out. It's interesting to see that Daniel Trapp has not benefited from that. Kamil Gordzinski, he was third in GT2, has now done his pit stop. He's now fourth in GT2. Daniel Trapp moves up to third in class. He's still chasing down Christian Moreau, though, who has already done his pit stop. There's about 15 seconds between them, so that's not good news for Daniel Trapp. It looks like he is going to be finishing behind the 3 GT cars ahead of him, but it will still be a podium in class. Tony Versity also into your pit lane. Ignacio Hortal in your pit lane as well. I think that, that was also Jazz Forsberg. Yes, Forsberg also coming out of your pits now. Looking on your left-hand side, we are still yet to see Toby Kederer into your pit lane. Sven Deutschmann into your pit lane. Florian Weiser should come down again into your pit lane because we saw him come down earlier, but it's not counted for some reason. Martin Faela, he's still come down your pit lane. He's at the rear. No, sorry, he's 6th in your class. Not quite at the rear, but once he comes into the pits, he most likely will drop to 7th and behind Wyatt in class. We've just seen our GT2 leader, Steve Kenwood, come down pit lane. We're still yet to see Paul Schaefer into the pits. Still yet to see Daniel Nito into the pits. The rest of our drivers all out. Sorry, we've just seen Horthouse still stuck in his pits as well. So another driver down the order. Coming out of the pit lane comes Kenwood, though. He still leads Keeble by about 10 seconds. So I think he's lost about 5 seconds in the pit lane, which is absolutely nothing compared to what gap he has over the other drivers. Demasman is right behind Nick Gregory, and it's this battle. Gregory has been in so many battles today. And Demasman has been involved with a few himself as well. And he is in slipstream trying to get up the position. And 25 minutes to go in the race. We are over halfway down. We're yet to see Kederer and Deutschmann, our 2 prototype leaders, our 2 race leaders, down your pit lane. Very wide for Karel Demasman there. No penalty by the looks of it. Or he's just going to wait to deal with it through the corner. That is definitely a penalty. Very, very slowly indeed. He's still going slowly. So I think that was a penalty. And then he allowed Michael Wyatt through. No, that was Ortner through. He allowed Ortner through following that. Now, Ortner is only about 20 seconds from your race leader. I think, sorry, about 15 seconds from your race leader. I think he'll easily be able to get into the race lead once Toby Kederer is into the pit lane, which is now. Kederer in your pit lane. We still see Hortal in the pits. Now, it may be an issue that we saw earlier on. I believe you have to switch off your engines when in the pit lane. Otherwise, it won't start refueling. That's what we saw earlier on. I believe that's what we saw with Peter Lee, but now we're seeing Hortal in there for even longer. Toby Kederer rejoins the race in 3rd and about 15 seconds behind Ortner. Leading the race now, then, it was Sven Deutschmann. He is leading ahead of Ortner by about 10 seconds between the 2 of them. We'll see when Deutschmann comes into the pits. We're still yet to see Martin Faela into your pit lane, as it looks like Florian Weiser also yet to come down once again. Now, he is surely going to be coming down your pit lane near the end of that pit window, which will be at 15 minutes. It opened at 45 minutes to go. Believe he still has about 8 more minutes to come down pit lane. And I keep on saying this, but Florian Weiser's already been down the pits. He already thinks, most likely, I've done my mandatory stop. I don't need to worry about it now. I've done what I need to do. I'm going to continue racing. But according to our overlay, according to all of the information that we've been given, he has not done what is necessary within the mandatory stop. as we come through, and that is a subscription. Thank you very much from Mr. Sandbox2 for subscribing, and welcome to racedepartment.com. If I have missed any subscriptions, I am very sorry, but it's really quiet compared to my game noise, so I don't hear it very much, and it's only when I'm not talking do I really ever hear that. But we are currently watching, and we're going to ride on board a little bit with Florian Weiser. 4th position in the session here. 22 minutes to go. Yet to see him down pit lane. Just keep the standings on your left-hand side as Sven Deutschmann has now into your pits, and Ortner is back into your lead. Kederer back into second. Florian Weiser is going to get into third. Now that's a real shame because he was down in 6th position before the pit stops. He had such a good pit stop that he's gained up to third. That's probably why he's gained up to third, because he didn't do what was required in the pit stops. Coming through, that's through St. Boehm here. Now, I'm just interested to see when we'll see Weiser back into the pits. We're also yet to see Daniel Nieto down your pit lane. I believe we've already seen him in the pits once, but again, not completing the mandatory pit stop, like what you need to do in the mandatory pit stop. Paul Schaefer, we're also yet to see down the pits. We've still got 3 drivers yet to see into your pit lane, as Hortal has retired. We saw him sitting in the pits for about into the garage for about 2 laps before now he's been taken away off of the track. So that means that our retirement so far, Franco Bagali was disqualified for reversing in the pit lane when he missed his pit box. Malachi Bacchus went out very early on in the race following contact. Paul Hurlow went out. I'm not too sure what for. I think that might have been a disconnection for Hurlow because he just jumped from 5th, I think it was, straight to the rear of the field. So not too sure, but it wasn't a disqualification because he's been placed ahead of Malachi Bacchus. Ignacio Hortal then, at the latest retirement, only a few laps to go. But yeah, we're still to see Weiser, Schaefer, and Daniel Nieto into your pit lane. This is your race leader at the moment, leader of your P2 field. This is your leader of your GT2 field, 8th position overall, Steve Kenwood. And then this is your leader of your GT3 field of Christian Moreau. And he is 10th position overall. Looking at the gaps, that pit stop window has now really decided most of this race, I think, because following that, the gaps have now started to really increase between each other. But again, it's going to be interesting to see whether Florian Weiser is going to come down pit lane. And I don't know whether Schaefer or Nieto are going to come down as well. I think all 3 of them have already had a trip down to our pit lane, but all 3 of them have not completed what is required of them. Actually, I don't think we've even seen Paul Schaefer come down the pits yet. So Schaefer might be leaving this as late as possible to do his mandatory stop. But the other 2 I know we've seen in the pit lane, Daniel Nieto and Florian Weiser. And now coming up through Double Detroit du Basset there. I'm just going to watch Florian Weiser here because he has to come down the pit lane within the next 4 minutes. That is when he's going to have to come down pit lane because that is the mandatory pit stop window. And it's going to be interesting because he must be thinking now, I've already done my pit stop. Why is it still telling I've got a mandatory pit stop to do? But again, it's what you need to do in the pit lane. I think it has to be a certain time or certain amount of fuel or certain amount of tyres needs to be put on the car. And I don't think that Florian Weiser has done that. Looking the left-hand side, we're still yet to see Schaefer and Daniel Nieto down your pit lane. Schaefer is in. Schaefer is in. Like I said, I don't think we were going to see him till the end because he was going to look like he was going to do a very late pit stop. And it looks like that late pit stop is now Daniel Schaefer into the pit lane. And that was from 14th position. That was from Bo's second, 3rd in class. He's now down to 5th in class. And he's only got Daniel Nieto behind, but Nieto also yet to do the pit stop. And it's a very, very long pit stop for Paul Schaefer. He finally gets going in his BMW. He's going to head out of the pit lane. It doesn't look like he's going to hold over Daniel Nieto. He's not. Nieto is into the pit lane as well. Daniel Nieto now doing his stop. So both of those drivers are now down your pit lane, but it's not counted. Paul Schaefer's pit stop window, his pit stop icon is still red. Paul Schaefer's not done his pit stop. That was not a required pit stop. He was in there for so long. How is that not a required pit stop? But Nito's has been completed. He is going to come out, but we're still yet to see Paul Schaefer complete his mandatory pit stop. That was not enough to, for some reason, warrant his mandatory pit stop. We have to see our third position driver, this driver here, Florian Weiser, back down the pit lane, this or next lap. Otherwise, I don't know what happens if you don't do your mandatory pit stop. I don't think we've ever seen it before. Florian Weiser is staying out. He is yet to do his mandatory pit stop. He's already visited pit lane, but it did not count. A lot like Paul Schaefer. He's just visited pit lane. It did not count. I don't know what's going to happen if Weiser does not do his mandatory stop. Is it a disqualification, a penalty, a time penalty at the end? I'm not too sure. Florian Weiser, third in the P2 category, third overall, but is yet to do his mandatory stop. He's about 11 seconds behind Toby Ketterer. He's 10 seconds ahead of Vangelis Parginos. If he comes into the pit lane, he will lose it down to 5th position in class. There's no doubt about that. He will most likely hold it ahead of Wyatt, because he has got 40 seconds on Wyatt. But he's only got about 10 seconds on Parginos, and then it's only about 1.5 seconds down to Deutschmann. That's a battle we will be watching very shortly once Weiser has decided what he's going to do. Only 50 seconds to go. It's going to be extremely close. And thank you very much, Michael Turk, for subscribing, and welcome to racedepartment.com. As we're getting to 15 minutes to go, if you want to take part in these events, be sure to head over to racedepartment.com and become a premium member. It's only €10 for the entire year, and you can take part in all of our club event and our leagues event. All of our leagues will be kicking up after the summer break, so back in September, November time. October time, sorry. Looking at Florian Weiser, though, he's going to have to do his pit stop this lap. He's going to have to. He stays out. Florian Weiser stays out. With only 4 seconds left to go until that mandatory pit stop window closes, I believe. That's the pit stop window over. Florian Weiser's not done his mandatory stop. Neither did Paul Schaefer. What's going to happen? I believe that may be a time penalty near the end. As now coming through, we are going to go have a little look, though. I did mention after we find out what Florian Weiser decides he was going to do, which is not pit, we were going to have a look at this battle, because Deutschmann has been catching Vangelis Parginos here. He has been catching, and a little bit onto the apex through St. Bouin there, and he's lost a little bit of time. It's about a second between them now. We're going to ride on board with Sven Deutschmann as he's coming along Ligne Detroit doing his straw here. Now heading along. He is losing time now along the straights. So is that just saying that Parginos' car's a little bit faster on the straights, but Deutschmann might have a little bit more grip and be a little bit faster through the final sector, through the more twisty turny part of the course, because we saw Matty Stage catch up through the first sector as well. And now coming through the long right-hander here, as my track map has just disappeared. I've forgotten all the corner names already. That's how bad I am. Getting past a GT driver there. That was the 12 car of Jazz Forsberg. But this is coming through Bendor and now up to the right-hander of Village. 13.5 minutes to go. We're about 47 minutes of the way through tonight's motor race. It's Ortner in the lead. Toby Ketterer 12 seconds behind in second. Florian Weiser 13 seconds behind in third, but he did not complete his mandatory pit stop. Vangelis Parginos in fourth, and we're on board. Sven Deutschmann in 5th position. And now coming through the first section through Verrier there. That's very easy to lose yourself on this circuit, but all of the drivers have been doing a really good job of not going in the wrong direction along the wrong layout. I mean, I was racing around this circuit a few weeks ago and I got completely lost. I was racing on an R Factor 2 and I didn't know what layout I was running on. I kept on getting corner cuts when I was still on circuit. I had no idea what I was doing. These drivers doing a very good job though of knowing where they're going, and they're doing a really good job at doing it really fast as well. The gap now about 6/10. It's closing this time. Slipstream definitely playing to Deutschland's effects here, and he is closing up to Vangelis, who sits in 4th. It's down to 4/10 by the end of the straight coming through Signes. He's still behind, but he's now got a GT driver, and that looked like it was number 7, Daniel Nito. It was. So being able to get through, and look how close he is. We're still on board. We're actually going to go and change our view a bit from this battle. And we are sitting at Vangelis. Parginos is around. The pressure's got to him. The pressure has got to him. Parginos has gone around, and through goes Deutschmann up to 4th. The gap about 2 seconds, and Parginos is probably going to hope that he can catch back up there. We've now got 11.5 minutes to go. Currently in tonight's event, I believe we've only had 4 retirements, which is not bad. Bear in mind, we've been racing now for 49 minutes. It's 1 every 10 minutes almost, pretty much, on an average. As we are looking through at the moment, even though Parginos did spin, this is still one of the closest battles. Daniel Trapp, though, is starting to do well. I did say that I didn't think he was going to be able to catch up to Christian Moreau, because the gap was 15 seconds after everyone had made their pit stops. Like, all the GT drivers had made their pit stops. But he's been able to prove me wrong. He's been able to close it. Now, it's less than 3 seconds. That GT driver just ahead, that's the GT3 of Christian Moreau. It's not going to be an actual position. It's going to be an overall position for P10. But in class, it's not a class battle, because Daniel Trapp, a GT2 car, Christian Moreau, a GT3. And coming through now, 10 minutes to go in the session. And it looks like Ortner is going to be able to, if he can keep it together, he's going to be able to take the win. Now, it was very close before about 15 minutes, before that pit stop window opened, because Ortner and Kedua, they were battling really well. But then, I don't know what happened. May have been a mistake, something from Kedua, because he lost a load of time, about 10 seconds within just a couple of laps. It's dropped him completely over Ortner. He's been able to retain that gap from about 10 to 13 seconds that it's been throughout most of the race now. But it's a real shame that he wasn't able to keep up with Ortner and retain that sort of time, and hopefully had a battle for the lead. But the pit stop, like I said, it's changed everything. Peter Lee was in 2nd in our GT3 field, sorry. He is now in 4th in our GT3 field. It's got Christian Moreau in the lead, Jazz Forsberg in 2nd, Karel Demersman in 3rd, and Peter Lee in 4th, 20 seconds behind Demersman. But that's the thing, I don't know what happened to Lee, but he had an almost minute pit stop, but through goes Daniel Trapp up the inside of Christian Moreau. And Moreau is going to stay attacking back through Village, heading up to Latour. Trapp's going to have the inside line. There's a little bit of contact between the 2 GT cars, but it's the GT2 that comes ahead of the GT3 car. 2 races in pajamas car. They drive in the exact same car in the Race Department Le Mans series, but here, 2 different classes, and they're still scrapping it out on track. Coming up towards the end, the first section here through Verrier. And it definitely looks like Daniel Trapp is going to be able to hold that position nice and solid ahead of Christian Moreau. And the sound, the roar of this BMW, it's so much louder than the P2s when we were riding on board the prototypes. It's very nice to listen to this car. The rear end just kicking out a little bit. It gets a bit too far over the apex there. but he's definitely losing a little bit of time. And Daniel Trapp actually coming up to lap a back marker there, and that is going to be Carol Demasman, sitting in 15th position, third in your GT3 field. That just shows that your GT3 leader, Christian Moreau, is coming up to lap the podium in the GT3 field. That is just crazy to see. Looking at your race leaders, though, another race leader that we have to look at, Steve Kenwood. We've not watched him pretty much at all this race because he's just got straight away from any sort of battles in your GT2 field. He currently leads about 5 seconds ahead of Mark Keeble, but that has closed since pit stop. That has closed about 10 seconds since pit stops. So that just shows that actually it's getting relatively close between Keeble and Kenwood. With 7 minutes to go, that could be a last battle scrap between Kenwood and Keeble for the lead in your GT2 field. But Keeble, again, another driver we haven't watched too much with. We did watch a little bit. He qualified on pole for our GT2 field, but a mistake on that opening lap at St. William, but sent both Corvettes of Keeble and Daniel Trapp around. Just really changed the whole playing field, really. It meant that Steve Kenwood's just been able to pull away from the rest of your field. Florian Weiser has spun the car. He's lost out a podium. Remember, this is a driver that did not do his mandatory pit stop. According to our information, he did not do his mandatory pit stop. He went into the pits but didn't do enough required to do the mandatory pits. He's down to 5th anyway, and that's without any sort of penalty that may be added on at the end of the race. 6 minutes to go. That's not what you want to see. As we continue around here, we're currently looking at Florian Weiser head around. I'm just reading the chat, just making sure I'm up to date with everything that's going on there. As we go around with about 6 minutes to go in the session. And currently Ortner leads ahead of Ketterer. The gap has started to close, but with only just over 5 minutes to go, it's not going to close quick enough for Toby Ketterer to get involved with a P2 lead battle, unless Ortner makes some sort of mistake. He's getting past, that is the BMW of Christian Moreau, your leader in your GT2s. I was also past Carol Demasman, your leader in GT3s. That was past Carol Demasman also in your GT3s. That was 3rd position in your GT3s. It's very difficult to remember what car is in each class, so I'm just trying to remember what driver is in each class now, because it's not displayed in classes for me, unfortunately, which I would love to see, but it's not quite, so I'm just trying to have a figure out. That's why I was having difficulties at the start, but now they've started to get into position. I've been talking about them for 55 minutes. I'm getting used to who's in which class. Christian Moreau has lost a lot of time, though. That just shows the difference in speed between your GT2s and GT3s. Bearing in mind, at the end of the pit stop stages, Daniel Trapp was 15 seconds behind Christian Moreau. He is now 5 seconds ahead, and that's within just 10 minutes of racing. He's been able to jump about 20 seconds on Christian Moreau. It's absolute fantastic stuff. Still only 4 retirements with just over 4 minutes to go. We're coming up to the end of the race. Florian Weiser looking to get back past Vangelis Parginos, but will we see a penalty? That's what I want to know, because not only will Florian Weiser be receiving a penalty, if that's the case, Paul Schaefer will also be receiving a penalty, because Schaefer also visited pit lane but didn't do enough in the pit stops to warrant the mandatory pit stop. It became null and it remained red on our notification, and so he didn't do his stop, along with Florian Weiser. Florian Weiser spinning around as well certainly didn't help his case in this race, and we now ride on board with Weiser. He's about 2.5 seconds behind Parginos, but I don't think he'll be able to close enough down in the 3.5 minutes. As we continue going around, this is definitely one of our closest battles, though. And actually, I said I don't think he was going to be able to do it. Before that section, 2.5 seconds. After that section, it's closed. But along the straight, that'll be why. Look at that. Along the straight, without any slipstream, Florian Weiser is losing time. He's got a higher downforce car, which means that he's slower on the straight. It's increasing back to about 2.5 seconds. He is slower on the straights. It's for definitely slower on the straights. But through the corners, he is faster. Look at that time drop dramatically already. pushing as far and as hard as he possibly can. Weiser wants that position. He wants fourth. Bearing in mind the gap's only 3 seconds between fourth and third as well. That's 5 seconds separating your podium from fifth position in your P2 class. It sounds like a lot, but that is a spin. That was a spin. Vangelis Parginos has gone off through Bendor. And he has lost a lot of time there. And now Florian Weiser is up, but he's going slowly. What? Florian Weiser has slowed right down. I'm not too sure why. Is he allowing Parginos back through? The time's not closing up quick enough for that. He's sped back up again now. But Florian Weiser just dropped off about 5 seconds to Deutschmann in that final sector. And here comes Parginos. So Weiser's allowed Parginos through, and now Parginos has run wide. They just can't decide who should have the position. This is very... What is going on for this P4 and P2s? Because again, Florian Weiser slowing up a heck of a lot through St. Boehm there, running completely off the racing line. They want to give each other the race position, but now they just don't know who should have the lead between the two of them, who should have fourth position. But away pulls Florian Weiser. He's allowing Parginos through. I don't know what's going on here. I'm so confused. There was no contact between the two classes from what I saw. But now there is definitely some sort of miscommunication between the two drivers that have meant they've lost 12 seconds to the... They've lost 12 seconds over this past lap, just trying to hand each other the position. It definitely looks like Parginos is going to be leading ahead of Florian Weiser, though, going up to your final lap in the race. We're going to go look at Ortner, though, because he is, I believe, this will be the final lap of the motor race with only 1 minute to go. He's got a few GT cars just up ahead. That is the number 7 of Daniel Nieto just in front. As we go along the main straight, George Ortner qualified in 2nd position, came over the crest, came into our camera shot for the first time in the race in the lead, got an amazing jump on Toby Ketterer. There was he got the lead. Toby Ketterer was able to get back past for about a lap before Ortner was able to get back through. The gap increased significantly. I think that was a mistake from Ketterer. That meant that Ortner was just able to go through with only 15 seconds remaining on our timer. This means George Ortner is going to come across the line this lap to take the victory in your P2s. He is going to win today's event. 5 seconds to go on your clock. Coming through Village now, the right-hander. Sounded like an engine blowout of some sort. A massive explosion on the gear down there for one of the drivers as they pass the camera. The session is over, though. Ortner goes through the final corner. For the final time, George Ortner is going to win here at Paul Ricard. He's going to be your P2 winner across the line, and the checkered flag is out. Toby Ketterer coming through the final corner now to cross the line. Steve Kenwood, he's coming up to do a whole other lap before he crosses that line to take the GT3 victory. The GT2 victory, sorry. The GT3 victory is going to be decided here and now, though. Christian Moreau going to come across the line, but here is a battle going on for P number 4. Christian Moreau does take the win in the GT3 field, but Florian Weiser all over the rear of Vangelis Parginos here on the final lap of the race. They were doing some sort of weird communication stuff that went completely wrong at the start of last lap. The end of the lap before that into the start of last lap, and now they're battling who's going to have the better run to Virage du Point. It's going to be Parginos, and Weiser just can't get the run. They disappear behind the crest, and it looks like it is going to be Parginos to take 4th position. Weiser to cross the line in 5th, but will there be any post-race penalties to come after that? Now we are watching Steve Kenwood. He heads into the final sector through Doubles Roit de Passat here, and he is going to win your GT2 field. And now they are coming up. This is going to be a win for Stephen Ketterer. For Stephen Kenwood I was just thinking Kenworth for some reason there, but anyways, Steve Kenworth is going to come across the line to win your GT2 victory. So well done to Ortner for winning your P2s, well done to Steve Kenworth for winning your GT2s, and well done to Christian Moreau for winning your GT3s. As we're going to run through your race results very shortly. I believe these are the last 2 drivers to come across the line. Yes, they are. So Ortner wins your race, wins the P2 field. And then Kederer came home in 2nd. Deutschmann finished in 3rd, followed by Parginas and Wyatt. Martin Pereira finished in 6th. And following a post-race penalty, Florian Weiser finished in 7th position in class. 8th position overall, and the win in your GT2 field with Steve Kenwood. Mark Hebel finished in 2nd with Daniel Chapp in 3rd. Christian Moreau wins your GT3 field. Gwizdzinski finishes 4th in your GT2s. Jazz Forsberg gets 2nd in your GT3s. Nick Gregory finishes 5th in your GT2s. Demisman rounds out your podium in the GT3s. Peter Lee in 16th and 4th position in your GT3s as we skip across there as well as the session comes to an end. I hope you were able to read through the rest of the race results. That was an absolute fantastic race indeed. That was amazing racing. And I can see that a lot of you have enjoyed that. We're going to get a lot more of this though. Every single Sunday we do RaceRoom Sunday. Unfortunately, I'm not here next Sunday. So that's, I say every single Sunday, and then next week we're not doing it. But I'm away next week, so we aren't able to do it. But following that, we're going to be having weeks and weeks and weeks of RaceRoom Sunday. Loads of different car and track combinations. And then coming up in September, it's been mentioned a hell of a lot in chat, we do have the GT3 League. We're going to be in the GT League on RaceRoom, and I will be your lovely commentator, your lovely broadcaster, bringing you the evening of racing for all of our drivers. It's going to be absolutely amazing though. It's going to be fantastic. If you want to get involved with any of these club events or that league when it comes around in September, all you have to do is go over to racedepartment.com, become a premium member. It's only €10 for the entire year, and you can take part in all of our club events. You can take part in our leagues as well, and that's fantastic. Be sure to follow us on all of our social medias as well, where you can get updates and all of our different news articles that our lovely article writer Paul Jeffrey writes, as well as a lot of different things that go around on the site as well. Thank you very much for joining us here. It's been a lovely week of streaming. It's been an amazing session of racing tonight. I hope you have enjoyed, and goodbye.